Hello. I would love to quickly show you how to do a backwards loop cast on. Sometimes I refer to this as a cheating cast on because it's really the easiest cast on that you can work, although sometimes it can be a difficult cast on to work into on the next row, and I'll teach you some tricks for doing that as well. Many of my jewelry patterns use a backward loops cast on because you don't end up with two strands if you're slipping up beads in that cast on row. So two patterns I can think of off the top of my head that do that are Boutin and Trio. The first thing I do when I do a backwards loop cast on is I grab my yarn and I make a slip knot. Pretty easy. There's your slip knot. And then I take my slip knot and I put it on to my needle. Right there, I've got the needle in my right hand and the working yarn in my left hand and my tail hanging down right there. And then I take the yarn that's in my left hand and I twist it around, and then I put that backwards loop onto my right hand needle. So I take that, flip it to the front, and slip it onto my needle. Take that, flip it to the front, slip it right on. Notice I am not pulling up my stitches very tightly. I keep them quite loose when I'm doing the backwards loop cast on, because typically when you're using a backwards loop cast on, it's because you're wanting your edge to block out well, and you need that extra yarn in the cast on to be able to get that blocked out edge. You don't want to work it tightly and firmly. The other thing is, if you work it too tightly, it's going to be quite hard to work into on the next row. So there we go. I've got a few stitches cast on with the backwards loop cast on. Now let me show you knitting into the first row here. So I'm just going to go in and I'm slipping my needle in and I'm knitting across. Notice that I am using the index finger on my left hand to hold that stitch in place, because it does want to be a little loosey-goosey and move around while I'm slipping my needle in. It is incredibly helpful to have pointy lace tip needles when you're going to work into a backwards loop cast on. Oftentimes when people tell me they're having a hard time, it's because their needles don't have a sharp enough tip, and all they need to do is go buy new needles. I have some favorite lace needles I've been working with right now. I really love Chowgu lace needles. I also enjoy the Haya Haya lace tip needles. Knit Picks has some wonderful lace tip needles. Addy Turbos have a sharp tip. Just choose a needle. Oh, don't forget about signature needles. Just choose a needle that has a sharp tip, and then you'll be happy with the outcome of knitting into that first row. You will notice I have a little loop right there. That is going to block out perfectly when I go to block this, although this is just a swatch and I'm not going to block it. Enjoy!